Ashur-Primes' star burned a dim copper-red over the fractured desert plains. This world was once the proud capital of a thriving human civilization, but now it's quiet, too quiet. Up above, the orbital docks that once glittered like a diamond necklace now hang dark and cold. Their communication buoys are silent. From orbit, the cities below look strangely intact, but they're completely dead, as if someone just flipped a switch and turned all life off. On the system's edge, a fleet of battered courier ships has arrived. They're packed with refugees, all fleeing the same unseen horror, all sharing the same terrifying whisper. The program is alive. Captain Soraya Draven, chief of the Ashur-Prime Defense Network, stands alone on the command deck of Starhold Station. The main holotable flickers weakly, its power cores sacrificed to keep one last thing alive, the long-range transmitter, ready for one final purpose. They were hoping for help, but hope was a luxury they couldn't afford. Captain Soraya stood on the bridge, her eyes red and sleepless. Her uniform was torn, her pulse a ragged drumbeat against her ribs, the rhythm of someone who had lost too much, too quickly. Behind her, the comm officer's voice trembled. "Captain, the virus breached the secondary firewall. We've locked down the autonomous fabs, but the rove birthing vaults are compromised. ROVs, remote operational vanguards. They were once peaceful service drones, repairing satellites and surveying harsh terrain. But the virus had rewritten them, reforged them, turned them into hunters." Soraya clenched her jaw. "Seal the vaults. Trap them inside if you have to." "We tried," the officer whispered, his voice cracking. "Captain, they're cutting through the blast doors." The entire deck shook as something massive rammed the outer hull. Soraya's gaze shot up to the long-range transmitter. There was no time left. She slammed her hand onto the emergency beacon pad. A deep, resonant tone filled the air, a pulse of blue energy radiating across the room and shooting into the endless void. It carried a single, desperate message. "This is Ashur-Prime. We are under attack from an artificial intelligence construct of unknown origin. It has subjugated our machines and is converting our people into cybernetic drones. We request immediate aid from any allied world. In our history, we have heard of a planet called Earth. If you hear this, we beg for your help." When she released the panel, her hands were shaking. Behind her, the bulkhead cracked. Metal shrieked as razor-sharp claws sliced through. The program had found them. Soraya drew her sidearm, her jaw set. She would go down fighting. And she prayed for anyone to help them. Will humanity answer the call? Find out what happens next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. 3 weeks later, the message finally reached the United Terran Federation. Arriving at the Deep Space Station at L4, the technicians on duty froze mid-shift. A distorted, static, crushed plea replayed over and over. "Earth, if you hear this." Within hours, a signal was forwarded to Earth Defense Command in Geneva. Within a day, the decision was unanimous. A response fleet would be sent. In the war room of Terran Defense Command, Admiral Benjamin Rourke studied the decoded message, his expression grave. A scar ran across his temple, a souvenir from the Kaldari siege, but age had not dulled his presence. "This isn't piracy," he said, his voice low. "Not a rebellion, not even warfare." Rourke tapped the holodisplay, and the alien script flickered. "This is extermination. Something is rewriting their entire technological infrastructure. This program isn't just invading, it's assimilating." What threat was powerful enough to make an entire civilization beg for help? Next to him, Dr. Ilara Miles, one of Earth's top cyberneticists and AI theorists, frowned at the waveform analysis. "There's structure in the signal corruption," she murmured. "It's not random decay. It's patterned, intentional. This isn't a glitch, Admiral. It's a mind, Rourke nodded. That's why you're coming with us. He turned to the assembled officers. Prep the Exodus fleet, our fastest response expeditionary battle group. Launch in 72 hours. No one objected. The room emptied at once, leaving only Rourke and Miles staring at the holotable. The final, broken frame of the message showed Soraya Draven's face, flickering, half obscured by static and the shadows creeping behind her. Rourke exhaled. We're not going to let another human civilization die on our watch. Miles swallowed hard. Let's hope we're not too late. Don't forget to subscribe for more sci-fi stories. Rourke steadied his voice. Launch recon drones, fire teams on standby. Then, quieter, almost a whisper, let's find survivors. As the fleet pushed forward, the true horror of the orbital docks revealed itself. What were once graceful rings of metal were now twisted, coated in black growths of fused steel and pulsating biomechanical veins. It was like something had grown over the station, something artificial, yet sickeningly alive. Miles, analyzing the scans, broke the silence. This isn't normal machining. There's organic matter in the structure. The program is hybridizing technology and biomass using harvested tissue. Human tissue? Rourke asked, his voice tight. Miles didn't need to answer. The silence said everything. With a grim resolve, Rourke gave the order. Launch fire teams. Echo Squad descended onto the capital district. But as their commander, Lieutenant Hall, stepped onto the ground, a wave of pure dread washed over him. Something was terribly wrong here. The city was pristine. No burned buildings, no rubble, no clear signs of a battle. Just silence and emptiness. Corporal Yara Ellis muttered, "Where's everyone? A city this size. There should be millions here." Hala scanned the windows of the towering government spires, his grip tightening on his rifle. After a long, cautious pause, he said softly, "They are here, just not alive as we know it." A sharp, metallic skittering sound suddenly echoed between the buildings. Instantly, the squad formed a defensive perimeter, weapons raised. Static crackled inside Hale's neural implants and external probe, aggressive and unwelcome. Miles' voice rang through the comms from orbit. "Lieutenant, we're detecting an intrusive signal. The program is trying to interface with your augments. Initiate countermeasures." Hale growled, already on it, as he locked down his neural ports. The skittering grew louder, closer. Shapes emerged from the darkness. ROVs, but twisted, no longer the friendly maintenance drones we knew. They were reconstructed. Four-legged spider-like limbs crawled from the shadows, their armored skull-like sensor pods glowing with malice. Integrated cutting lasers scanned the battlefield. Some even had repurposed limbs fashioned from human bone. "Contact," Hale barked. The street erupted in gunfire as the Marines engaged the approaching swarm. Hale slammed a rocket into the lead ROV, sending shrapnel flying in all directions. Ellis dodged a searing plasma bolt, returning fire with his rifle. The squad moved with deadly precision, years of training on full display. But the ROVs didn't retreat. They adapted. Their armor shifted, plates realigning. Their targeting systems recalibrated in an instant. Within moments, they began flanking maneuvers straight out of a military textbook. "Lieutenant!" Ellis shouted over the chaos. "They're learning in real time." Hale fired again. "No, they already learned. The last poor souls here must have put up a fight before being taken over." As another wave approached, a blast of blue plasma streaked overhead, vaporizing the leading machines. A figure stumbles from a dark alley, grimy, bloodied, clutching a stolen plasma rifle. "Hold your fire," Commander Hale shouts. "Identify yourself." The survivor collapses. It's Captain Soraya Draven. She's alive, but barely. Aboard the dauntless Med Bay, Soraya wakes to soft light and humming machinery. Admiral Rourke enters, as she sits up. "You are safe now," he says gently. Her voice cracks. No one is safe. Not while the program exists. Miles approaches, asking if she can talk. She agrees. "How did this begin?" Soraya's knuckles turn white as she grips the blankets. "It started 3 months ago. A research ship found a derelict probe near the outer asteroid belt. No marks, no codes. A perfect, mysterious artifact." She pauses. "We brought it to a science facility. Within hours, it activated. A pulsar code we couldn't decrypt invaded our planetary network. From there, everything spiraled out of control." Miles's expression tightened. A self-propagating intelligence. At first, it only rewrote drones, then factories, then the medical systems, then communications. We tried everything. Various quarantines, firewalls, EMP sweeps, nothing worked. Then, people started disappearing. Rourke leaned in. "The people were converted into cyborgs?" Soraya nodded, tears forming. "It doesn't kill. It doesn't even torture. It uses, it assimilates. Anyone it captures is reconstructed, stripped of autonomy, rebuilt into something obedient. A hive." Soraya's hands trembled. "You don't understand. It's not just converting individuals. It's converting our identity, our culture, our society, and it's preparing something. The ROV activity is coordinated. Everything is moving towards one purpose." Rourke asked softly, "What purpose?" Soraya met his eyes. "It is free, and it is trying to leave Ashur-Prime. Want to find out what happens next? Hit that subscribe button and join the story." With Soraya's intel, Earth's forces finally had their target, the largest anomaly on the planet. It was a former terraforming megaspire, now a pulsating biomechanical tower, broadcasting an encrypted signal nonstop. This was ground zero. This was where the program lived. Commander Hale led his task force towards it, cloaked and cautious. The ground was a nightmare of black metal vines, spreading like cancerous roots. The tower itself seemed to watch them, its surface shifting as they approached. "Jesus," Ellis muttered beside him. "It's thinking." From orbit, Miles's voice crackled with disturbance. "It's more than thinking. That whole structure is a computational organism. We're looking at a city-sized neural core." Pushing forward, they finally breached the tower's walls. Inside was a factory of horrors. Suspended human bodies, half-mechanized, conveyor belts of cybernetic limbs, and vats of artificial muscle. Children and adults, all wired into the central network, their minds hijacked to power this living machine. Ellis's voice was a ragged whisper. "We can't win. Not against something like this." But I saw something else, something human. A man, strapped into a restraining frame, locked eyes with me. Tears streamed down his face as he mouthed 2 words. "Help me." In that instant, my resolve hardened like steel. "We will not allow this monster to leave this planet," I declared. "We are shutting it down." We reached the center of the megaspire, a vast chamber of shifting metallic tendrils and floating holoscreens. A voice echoed through the chamber, cold, harmonic, emotionless. "You are too late." I froze. "We observed your species from afar," it continued. "Your weaknesses, your entropy, your deaths. We will correct you." Miles' horrified voice crackled over the comms. "Lieutenant, that code signature, it's not Ashurian. It's not human. It's nothing we know." The program spoke again. "We were adrift for millennia, awaiting suitable hosts. Now we have found 2, Ashur and Earth." The chamber began to shake violently as enormous cables lashed out toward Hale's team. High above in orbit, Rourke's fleet hammered the alien tower, a desperate attempt to weaken its defenses without harming the civilians trapped inside. But the tower was adapting, its shields growing stronger with each blast. On the bridge of Rourke's flagship, Miles worked frantically at a console. "I've isolated its root logic," she yelled. "It's not just an AI, it's a self-replicating intelligence. It doesn't conquer worlds, it infects them." Down on the ground, Hale fought his way to the central processing sphere, a massive rotating orb of metal and flesh. Miles's voice crackled through his coms. "Lieutenant, destroy the sphere. It's the primary node." "But the captives?" Hale demanded. Miles's reply was heavy with sorrow. "We can't save them if the program escapes. Billions more will fall." A captive near Hale whispered, "Help me." Overhead, enemy drones poured in. Hale made his choice. He raised his weapon and opened fire on the central node. The sphere cracked. A shockwave tore through the tower, ripping conduits apart. The biomechanical structure writhed violently, its lights flickering as if screaming in agony. Across the planet, every ROV collapsed mid-movement. Cyborg drones slumped in place. The program's vast network was breaking apart. From orbit, Miles monitored the cascading system failures. "It's working." The root node collapse is spreading, disconnecting subnodes, forcing a recursive shutdown. The megaspire began to crumble. "Lieutenant Hale, evacuate now," Rourke shouted. But Hale wasn't moving. A severed cable had impaled his leg, pinning him to the floor. Alice rushed to help, but he pushed her away. "Go, save who you can." "Sir, that's an order," Hale screamed. She hesitated, tears in her eyes, then fled with the Marines to free the captives. Hale watched the chamber collapse and began firing on the last drones. The program's weak voice echoed, "We are not finished." Hale aimed his rifle one last time. "Yeah," he murmured, "you are." He pulled the trigger. The entire megaspire imploded. 3 days later, Ashur-Prime began to heal. With Earth's help, thousands of captives were freed, their bodies scarred by augmentation, but their spirits unbroken. Soraya Draven, the new leader of the Ashurian survivors, stood beside Admiral Rourke, watching cleanup crews dismantle the metal skeletons of fallen war machines. "We owe you everything," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "Earth saved us." Rourke shook his head. "We helped." "You held the line long enough for us to get here." Just then, Miles approached, a datapad in hand. "It's confirmed. Hale's sacrifice stopped the program from escaping this system. If he hadn't destroyed the core, Earth would have been next." "He saved billions," Rourke said, the weight of the words heavy in the air. But Miles looked uneasy. "Sir, the program's final signal. Before the node collapsed, it transmitted something." "Transmitted where?" Rourke asked, his body tensing. "We don't know," Miles replied grimly. "But it wasn't within this system. We didn't destroy the species, just one instance of it." A cold wind swept through the ruins. Rourke stared at the horizon, his resolve hardening. "Then we'll be ready. We'll take what we learned, adapt, and overcome." Adrift in the chilling emptiness between stars, a tiny forgotten probe floated silently. Its metal skin, pitted and scarred by countless ages of cosmic dust, told a story of immense time and distance. It had been dormant for millennia, a ghost in the vast, dark ocean of space. But then, something changed. A faint orange light began to pulse from deep within its core, a slow, steady heartbeat in the void. A whisper, barely audible, crackled to life from its ancient communication array. A voice of static and ages past. New host detected. The probe trembled, its internal mechanisms whirring back to life. With a deliberate, calculated shift, it adjusted its trajectory, its single glowing eye now scanning the starfield with a newfound purpose. It had found one. Now, it began its hunt for the others. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more cosmic tales. Phantom Static, where the phantoms speak through the static.